Live breaking news, Nez Nation, as most of you may know, just in case you don't, today, Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, is the day for Trump's New York trial, where he is charged with God knows what. Supposedly, it's sometimes known as the alias, the hush money trial. There's no crime, no victim. We know that he didn't do anything wrong. Many experts, legal and otherwise, have concurred. Today is closing summations, closing arguments from both the defense and both the prosecution. Well, guess what? We have some breaking news because Judge Fake Don Juan Merchan loses it again. He loses it again in court, shouting and yelling, completely becoming emotionally unhinged. It is just unprecedented. Today, what he did was he yelled at defense attorney Todd Blanche, who inferred to the jury as he was giving his closing summation, his closing arguments, not to send Trump to prison based on a ridiculous preponderance of evidence, specifically regarded to Michael Cohen, who is a serial perjurist and a serial liar. Let's get into it. For the break, okay, they had a break this afternoon. Right now, as of this recording, there are closing arguments from the prosecution side. Before the break, the judge scolded Blanche for imploring jurors not to send Trump to prison on the words of Michael Cohen, and said he would instruct the jury to disregard the comment. Prosecutor Joshua Steinglass had taken an issue with what he cast as a ridiculous comment and asked the judge to intervene. He says right here, in a very loud, perturbed, unhinged way, I think, quote, that saying that was outrageous. Merchan scolded Blanche, someone who's been a prosecutor as long as you have and a defense attorney as long as you have, you know that making a comment like that is highly inappropriate. Yet, this unreal, the audacity of the fake Don Juan Merchan of scolding Todd Blanche when he has time and time again in front of the jury, which, by the way, this jury is not sequestered. They're not a sequestered jury. This is the most landmark historical trial in American history. The first time a former president of the executive office, a former commander-in-chief of our armed forces, has ever in the history of America been on trial for a crime that is absolutely meritless, has no grounds, baseless, completely made up. It's an apparition. It's an imagination. It's not a whole lotta. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. In front of all of these non-sequestered jurors, the fake Don Juan Merchan, this guy right here, has been threatening Trump with jail time over a ridiculous gag order that he placed on Trump. And by the way, remember, you may say, Nez, why do you call it a ridiculous gag order? Isn't that kind of part of legal proceedings and legal precedent where you reprimand a defendant? You're not supposed to talk about a case, speak to a case in any way, impugn upon the impartiality of a case. You're absolutely right. But guess what? He didn't give that same gag order. If you remember, he did not impose such a harsh gag order on star prosecutorial witness, serial perjurer Michael Pinocchio Cohen. And this guy went live on TikTok. He monetized TikTok live streams. And what did he talk about? Ding, ding, ding. You guessed it. He only talked about Trump. He talked about the case. He sold merchandise where he had a picture of Trump behind bars. Why is that allowed? But there's a gag order on the former president, the former chief executive of our United States of America? It is a complete and utter disgrace. There's no other way of putting this, Nez Nation. It is a complete and utter disgrace. And I put some notes here just in case you didn't know. If Trump is convicted, the jury doesn't get to decide the sentencing. This corrupt, politicized, weaponized farce of a judge, he gets to decide what the sentencing is. Trump has obviously pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, charges punishable of up to 4 years in prison. Remember, there was no falsification. There was no wrongdoing. There is no business records that he falsified, that he tried to fraud. There's nothing of the sort. This is completely made up. It's fabricated from thin air. It's unclear whether the prosecution will seek imprisonment in the event of a conviction, or if the judge would impose that punishment. I have it on high quality sources, that courthouse security, courthouse bailiffs are in discussion with the Secret Service, Trump's Secret Service, about a possible jail conviction, sentencing, where Trump would end up in handcuffs. Wouldn't that be a photo op for the Democrat Party? Wouldn't that be a beautiful ad for these criminals, these heathens, these cretins, these anti-American treasonous pigs? Tombstone Vegetable and Chief Biden, Commie Kamala, and the like. Wouldn't that be something they would love to see? Don't forget, Biden has said, which is really odd and strange, I've never heard of anything like this. Biden has said he's going to do a live stream from the Oval Office as the verdict is being read. Why would you do that if you have no idea and no involvement? Don't you have better things to do, like actually doing your job? Why are you involved so heavily in the prosecution of your number one political opponent that you are losing to? Somebody make sense of this in the comments. Please leave a comment and make sense of this, because it doesn't make any sense at all. And then the judge tells jurors they must, as they come back from break, the judge tells jurors they must disregard the, quote, improper comment made by Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, that they shouldn't send him to prison. Of course. I mean, of course they should disregard that. Of course they shouldn't pay attention to that. Rashawn tells the jurors that Blanche's comment asking jurors not to send Trump to prison was, quote, improper, and you must disregard it. But, he gets to say it every 5 seconds. He gets to say it every single day in trial. He said jurors are not to consider possible punishment in the deliberations, and that sentencing decisions are solely up to him. Oh, goody. Now it's starting to make sense, isn't it, Nez Nation? Now it's starting to make sense why Biden is going live from the Oval Office as the verdict is being read, which could potentially happen today. More than likely tomorrow. It is highly more than likely. I'm going to keep you posted. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. Our free newsletter, which is your sure-proof way of never missing out, is in the pinned comment, show notes, and description. It is highly likely that today will be completely dedicated to closing arguments. The prosecution is still giving their closing arguments as I'm recording this. But I'm going to keep you posted on everything that's happening. I'm going to keep you posted up to date on everything you need to know, the truth, the objective truth of what's going on, what's happening, when is the ruling, when is the verdict, what is the verdict, everything right here. You don't want to go anywhere. I am of the opinion that it is more than likely that a verdict will not even come tomorrow, probably Thursday at the very latest. But there's a 90% chance that a verdict is going to be issued by the end of this week. Can you believe this judge? Can you believe this judge? I mean, where do you get the cojones to yell at Todd Blanche for literally proving his argument, for literally conveying their case, which is their absolute right in closing arguments and closing summation, which, by the way, the prosecution goes last, which is very unfamiliar and against protocol. Usually in these types of cases, the defense would go last. So that's very, very bizarre and strange. It's his right to say you cannot, he didn't do anything wrong, in other words. Defense attorney Todd Blanche did nothing wrong. He shouldn't have been reprimanded. He should have been yelled at in front of the entire court. And the fact that the judge is displaying this type of nepotism and favoritism towards the prosecution, towards Alvin Do-Nothing-Bragg, against Trump, it sends a very strong message to the jury. Remember, this is an unsequestered jury. Which means they don't have to be locked away from the world. They're open to everything. They probably saw all sorts of stuff over Memorial Day weekend that impugn on any impartiality of this case. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. Blanche did absolutely nothing wrong. He had every right to say, you cannot send Trump to prison based on serial perjurer, the MVP of liars, Michael Pinocchio Cohen. I want to hear from you, Nez Nation. I throw this off to you. I can't wait to hear what your comments are and see what they are in the comments down below. Please let me know what your thoughts are on this outburst. Another embarrassing. Mershon made an absolute fool of himself the first time. This is another asinine, ridiculous, out of left field outburst from Judge Mershon. I want to hear from you. As always, it's very, very difficult. I try really, really hard, but it's very difficult to get to all your comments. It's literally physically impossible. So consider becoming a member. Super chats and super thanks also get first priority. You get all sorts of benefits being a member. You get access to our members only Discord, as well as a million other things. First response, shout outs and live streams, and a million live stream giveaways, a whole bunch of stuff. It only costs you a cup of coffee a month. 1 cup of coffee. That's the same amount to be a member an entire month to support our channel and be a part of a thriving, like-minded community. I'll leave links in the description and the show notes and in the pinned comment. Here comes these videos right here. Check them out coming up on your screen. They're amazing, especially if you haven't seen this one today. As always, follow, subscribe. God bless you, and may God bless America. I'll see you soon.